Hi, Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid back here with you. Once again, right off County Line Road in Stewart County. We are inside the home of Winston and Julie Morrison. This home hit by an EF2 tornado, the same tornado that hit Eufaula, tracked across the river and tracked through Stewart County. I was going to walk you through the house here and show you what's going on. We're in the kitchen and dining room area now. The roof is gone. It's all open air through here, and you can see there's numerous things that have been blown around. They've also started the cleanup process as well around here. But we'll walk you back into the living room here. You can actually see behind me where the roof has caved in into a little bit of a V point right here. And this is not a room we ever suggest people to be in. We want people in a much smaller room because of this very thing. If you look over here, you can see the doors, the front doors, the glass has been blown out. That glass flying around inside the house, outside the house. That's why we want you in a room that doesn't have any windows, that doesn't have that glass. Now, if you follow me through here, we'll be careful ducking under some of the wood that's fallen down from the ceiling. This was the safe place for the Morrisons. This hallway, this little enclosure right here, they gathered in here with their 3 dogs, bent down, hunkered down. They said they had pillows and blankets and things all around them, and this is where they rode out the tornado. During the storm, this door flies open. As it was flying open, they thought the door flew away, but they could see the rush of the winds and feel the air pressure change from the outside. And if you look up, I don't know if we can get a shot of this, but this is where the roof started to peel off of this little room. But it didn't, thankfully. One of the only places in the house where the roof was actually still attached. So an interior room, a small room, the lowest floor of your building, near the center of that house and away from windows, always your best bet in a tornado. Even though you can see the destruction all around them, the family survived without a scratch. The 3 dogs fine as well. And this is the new warning, by the way. This new warning just came out now. So this is North Columbus, and this is southern Harris County. So this is south of Hamilton. This is places like Catala. This is Ellerslie again. This is Waverly Hall again. We're calling out your names again. This is a new warning. This is anywhere on Interstate 185 from, say, the Smith Road exit, exit 14, all the way up to exit 25, which takes you over to Hamilton. Hunter's Pub, you're right here. This is just south of you guys. Southern Harris County, northern Muskogee County. This is anywhere north of exit 6, north of Macon Road exit. We want you in a safe place immediately. This is going to miss Midtown. This is going to miss most of Uptown, we believe, but this is something that we've got to watch carefully for, because this warning has now been extended over into Muskogee County. We mentioned earlier, too, Green Island Hills, Whitesville Road, River Road that runs up here, the Brookstone area, Bradley Park area, Target, all those areas up toward Bradley Park. We want you to be, once again, in a safe place, as this tornado is going to cross perhaps just north of you, but you don't want to play around with this, since we know we've got a tornado down on the ground. It's going to get very close to you guys here in North Columbus. There's the storm itself, still back here in Lee County. You still have some time if you're out ahead of this thing, but we do not want anybody right now traveling on Interstate 185 from exit 6 to exit 25. Get off the road. If you can hear my voice, if you're listening to us on the radio, get off the road, get to the next available exit, the next available building, go inside, stay there until this passes by. Nobody should be on the roads out here in Muskogee County. If you're on the north and west side of town, as we mentioned, areas north of Bibb City up toward Green Island Hills, get to your safe place immediately. Now you can hear the sirens, or we're hearing the sirens going off, and remember, the sirens are going to be sounded for the entire county, but the actual worst part of this weather is going to be roughly from Macon Road and points north, and really, the way this radar view looks to me, this might be areas from J.R. Allen and points to the north, but still, if you're under the warning, get to the safe place. Here's your storm, here's your tornado, still coming through Lee County. Smith Station, Shotwell, again, Bleecker, Salem, get to a safe place right now. This is minutes from you. This is tracking up to the northwest. Lauren, now that we've got the new warning, let's go ahead and put a track on the tornado that takes it up further to the north and west into Harris County and into northern Muskogee County as well, and we'll get some times of arrival on there for you. We were able to get in yesterday. We saw too some of the they had set up the orange road cones where they had different roads blocked off, and we saw when we were leaving yesterday the American flags lining all of those cones, and there were signs that were welcoming the president with his visit. So we had an idea last night that's probably an area that the president was going to be able to to be on the ground and to see firsthand some of that damage. But just again, when we were down on the ground yesterday, being able, when you get up close to a place where you know that just around you that there were fatalities, there were deaths with that storm. When you see mangled pieces of metal and mobile homes that have been just ripped from their foundations, or homes even that have been swept from their foundations, it really makes you think about the power of the storm and just the scope of everything. When you look, especially back behind us, if you watched the news last night, you saw the huge area behind us cleared out of trees. I mean, it's going to take a long time for folks to be able to recover from this event.
And a lot of times, we hear about hurricanes as well, where maybe the local EMA or FEMA or somebody comes out, maybe even days in advance, and has a press conference. Well, tornado, I guess things are a lot different because it maybe moves differently, or you don't know exactly or when or where it's going to hit. Is that right?
Well, every single year there are between 10 and 20 tropical storms or hurricanes on the average. Every year in the United States there are more than 1,000 tornadoes. Sometimes they're on the ground for a few seconds or a few minutes. In this case, this was on the ground for more than an hour. This was in the top 1% in terms of the wind speeds that tornadoes can get to, the top 1% in terms of how long it's been on the ground. The path width was about a mile wide when this thing came through, so you're talking about a rare tornado in the great scheme of things. Only 1% of all of the 1,000 tornadoes every single year are rated EF4 or EF5. So I mean, this was just the perfect scenario of weather conditions that were able to come together to produce a monster storm like this.
Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid is here with us. He's down on the beach, and he has more on our forecast here today, and then next week when folks may be down here for spring break. Derek?
That's right, guys. Out here today, the weather fantastic. We had great weather yesterday, too. But my advice, bring a jacket if you're coming down. It is chilly, as you guys mentioned, when that sun goes down and when you factor in some of that wind as well. But you may only need the umbrella maybe once or even twice around here for the next week or so. That's the good news. Let's show that to you. We'll pull up the graphic for the next 7 days here in Panama City. We've got a dry weekend coming up this time around, but rain chances Monday into Tuesday. Beyond that, I think Wednesday, Thursday, and most of Friday looking fairly dry here on the coast. But what about local weather? Let's talk about that. Temperatures right now in the 60s and 70s across the Chattahoochee Valley. Auburn 68, Columbus at 71. The skies mostly sunny, really all over Alabama and Georgia. Fantastic news if you have any plans out and about on this Friday night. Your evening forecast looking good, and as we've mentioned, the weather for the weekend looking phenomenal as well. We're going to bring you that coming up a bit later in the show. But one thing we always think about and we always talk about when people come down here to the beach is safety in the water. Did you know that last year there were more than 24 drownings due to rip currents in Georgia and Alabama? We want that number at 0 this year. And earlier in the week, we caught up with somebody who actually works the beaches here that determines which flags to fly that folks have to look at to determine what the water is going to be like. Here's what he had to say about folks being safe in the water.
Believe it or not, most rip current issues and accidents occur within about 30 feet of the shoreline.
Mark Myra has been patrolling Panama City beaches for years. His experience boils down to a simple piece of advice for beachgoers.
But if you have doubts, and you look at the water, if you have doubts, stay out. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Rip currents are channels of water rushing away from shore. They are commonly found around breaks and sandbars and can actually be seen from the beach if you're high enough. It doesn't matter if there's high surf or not. What matters is what's underneath. If caught in one, you only have one option to break the grip of the rip.
To get out, you have to swim parallel. That's the only way out of a rip current. You cannot swim against it. It doesn't matter who you are.
A rip current can be as fast as 5 miles per hour, slower than you can run, but faster than even an Olympic swimmer can swim. On Northwest Florida beaches, a flag system is in place to warn swimmers of dangerous surf conditions.
Generally, yellow is the norm, meaning, it's not calm and safe, it's just not strong. You should still use caution no matter what the flag. If they go to red, it doesn't mean you have to stay out of the water, but if you're an inexperienced swimmer, you should not go in more than about knee deep.
We ran into some of the littlest swimmers on our trip down here, and they also had some great advice for folks planning to get in the water.
Don't go too far where you can't touch. I think you should be with somebody unless it's like really shallow. Make sure that you can see your parents and don't go too far away.
Tegan's father says safety is a #1 priority when they go to the beach, and he knows that responsibility will only grow.
As they get a little bit older, it's going to become more critical just to understand kind of the power of the ocean and whatnot.
At the end of the day, awareness of your surroundings and common sense will go a long way.
Come on down, enjoy yourself, use caution, and be safe.
Be safe. Again, great advice. The flags here, they're not just flying to look pretty. They actually mean something. So when you come down, pay attention to the flags. If you're not an experienced swimmer, make sure, again, you're using extra caution when you head out in the water. Barbara and Jason, back to you guys.
Now, from your Storm Team 9 Alert Center, WTVM Chief Meteorologist Derek Kincaid.
We told you at the top of the show, of course, about the lunar eclipse tonight, and the good news is viewing conditions will be perfect across Georgia and Alabama. No clouds to block the view of the eclipse. Now remember, the partial eclipse begins toward the end of our newscast, 10:33 Eastern Time. You're going to start to see the darker shadow move across the surface of the moon. Now the total eclipse is going to start at 11:41. This is when it gets good. The moon's going to be that shade of red, and that shade of red is going to get deeper and darker till about 12:12. And then beyond that, we're going to start to see the moon get out of the Earth's shadow, and by 1:50 a.m., that lunar eclipse is going to come to an end. So maybe something that the kids can get outside and see. I know it's late, but with no school tomorrow, a cool thing to check out for sure in the night sky. Now, what's trending around here for the next few days? Well, we've got this cold weather on the way. That's about the only issue if you're heading out to watch the eclipse tonight. These very chilly temperatures, and then more quick changes ahead for us. Rain and storms, more cold air, and we're going to stay chilly, as you'll see coming up in our 9-day forecast. Right now it is 35 in the Fountain City, Fort Benning 33, Auburn 31, but you got to look at that second number, the wind chill, what it feels like when you factor in the breeze, and those numbers down in the 20s for most of the Chattahoochee Valley. And on the big picture, we've got that cold air in place, 13 in Lexington, Springfield 6, 10 in Indianapolis, 23 in Nashville. Definitely a cold night across the east tonight. Skies are clear around here. The air is dry. We were watching some snow for you earlier, but unfortunately for the snow lovers, that all dried up as it's moved on down to the south. So here's our future cast as we keep looking ahead for you this week. No problems at all for the King holiday on Monday. Things look to be rather dry, sunny as well. As we get into Tuesday, we're going to start the day with sun, but clouds will quickly increase heading through the afternoon and through the evening. At the moment, I'm keeping the forecast dry, but by Wednesday, that changes. Showers turn to the forecast, perhaps even a few storms Wednesday into Thursday as we get set for that next shot of cold air. Through tonight, temperatures will stay dropping through the 20s. It's going to be a frigid beginning to our Monday, but sunshine across the board and highs touching 50 in the afternoon. And over in East Alabama, Auburn and Opelika, a cold night ahead tonight with highs tomorrow in the mid to upper 40s. The winds not as significant tomorrow. That's the good news. And over the next 9 days, Wednesday and Thursday will bring more rain and more storms, followed by more cold air. Some cold air that may be hanging around through Friday and the weekend too, Sharifa.
Well, just get used to it. I mean, it is January, so I guess we have to embrace it a little bit, right?
Yeah, this is a little below average for us, but it is winter and it's something that we've seen before.
Right, and we were complaining before about the hot and the heat, so I guess it's what we get.
This is what we get, that's right.
Thanks so much, Derek. Well, coming up,